This is TWIP Apps, Episode 3, Preset. In today's podcast, I speak with Venkat Rao, half of a two-person family-run company that makes one very cool iOS app called Preset. Preset allows you to create your own recipes from an extensive collection of filters, both corrective and creative, to easily apply to your photos. How easily? You'll be blown away at how cleverly you can try your preset on all of your photos. To see what I mean, you'll just have to watch the show. It's Tuesday, April 12th, 2016, and this is TWIP Apps. Welcome to another episode of TWIP Apps. I'm your host, PhotoJoseph, and today it is my pleasure to introduce to you Venkat Rao. I hope I'm saying that right, Venkat, with Rao Studios to talk about his app called Preset. Venkat, welcome to the show.
Hey, Joe. It's great being on the show. You pronounced it great. That's as good as it gets.
Thank you very much. Yeah. We've never met before this incident. So before this podcast here, incident. I'm calling it an incident.
I hope it's not going to turn into an incident.
Well, let's hope not. Well, you never know. It's only the third episode, so anything could still happen. So how did you originally reach out to me? It was through the TWIP website, or was it through my website?
I think, it was through your website. I think you had photojo.expert, I believe.
Photoapps.expert, right?
Photoapps.expert. So I reached out to you if you wanted to write a review when I was first launching.
Okay.
And then you got back to me a little later saying that if I wanted to be on the podcast.
There we go. I got something better than a review. We got a podcast for you. Excellent. Right on. Well, tell us a little bit about the app that we're going to be looking at. And also, I want to know, actually, just before we even get into the app, let's talk about you a little bit. Tell me about your company, and is it just you? Is it you and 100 people? What's the development going on here?
So it's actually just it's me and my dad.
Okay.
So I do the development and I help and I do try to get a little marketing.
Okay.
And then my dad helps with like QA of the app, and he does like the legal work and the accounting work, and so it's a family business.
Nice. Love it. How long did it take from when you first decided to start doing this, first started writing code, to actually had a product to launch?
So I think I started writing code about a year back.
Okay. And
I was doing that while I had a full-time job. And then 2 months back, I started doing it full-time. And so I've been, I released the app after I started doing it full-time. And now I've been looking for feedback, looking for, press, and to figure out what the next steps for the app are.
Nice. And so this is a proper developer success story here.
I hope so. Yeah. I don't know if it's a success story yet.
Fair enough. All right. Well, tell us a bit about the app. What is it that we're going to be looking at today?
So we're going to be looking at a preset. Preset is a way of creating your own photo filters. So previously you could you could filter photos on your iPhone. There are a lot of photo filter apps. Preset is a way to just create a filter, save that filter, and then apply it to your whole library. And you can be like, I have a lot of photos in low shadow, so I want to fix that quickly so I can have a filter that I just have for low shadows.
Okay.
It could also be a app that you can use to just change the color, change the mood, and just have fun with the filters.
So both creative and corrective filters.
Right.
Okay,
yep.
Great. Very cool. Right on. And what does the app sell for?
So right now I'm price testing. So right now it's $2, and but I don't know what it will be in the future.
Okay, fair enough. You can't argue with a $1.99 app. And this is on iOS, correct?
Yep.
Is it on Android as well?
Not Android, not yet.
Okay.
But
not yet. That's something you're planning on doing?
Not at the moment. I want to see if it takes off on iOS, and then if it's worth it to bring it to Android, then maybe. Okay.
That's absolutely fair enough. You got to start somewhere, and I think that iOS is the bigger platform these days that people really want to start their new app on.
Especially among creative people.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Apps, so.
Very cool. And so who's your ideal target market for this? Given that it is both corrective and creative, is this kind of really for the everyman photographer, the Instagram photographer, or is it more towards a higher end photographer? Who do you want to buy this app other than everybody?
I would hope everyone gets it, and but right now, I would say it's not for the expert photographer on the high end.
Okay.
They're probably, really into Photoshop, and they're really into, getting a very particular look for every photo. And it might not be, that's not the target market. So the target market is just for the Instagrammer or the everyday photographer who knows, who can get around and understands what highlights and shadows are. And at the same time, they want a more set choice of how they filter and how they correct or, creatively post their photos. Or
Sure. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Well, we're going to take a look at it. Before we jump into the demo, we're going to do a quick ad here. While I'm doing this, I would like you to go ahead and get your demo set up, and then we'll come back to your demo screen in just a moment. All right, well, this episode of TWIP Apps is brought to you by FreshBooks. As you have heard before, FreshBooks is the simple cloud accounting solution that's helping thousands of new entrepreneurs, that's a big word, entrepreneurs and small business owners save time billing and getting paid faster. Now, I know I've said this before, but when I first started my business, I was using FreshBooks. It was an absolutely awesome solution, very, very inexpensive. In fact, there's a free tier for it, and then it goes up to the paid tier once you have a certain number of clients. And, once you get to the point where you have so many clients that you have to start paying for it, it's kind of worth it at that point. You're making the money. So it's fantastic. Makes all of your billing and invoicing super easy, makes getting paid super easy. It is just a fantastic solution. And when I was starting up my business, it was absolutely the way to go. So you can sign up for free today at freshbooks.com. So head over there and check that out and join 5 million users running their business with ease. All right, we are ready to go back to our demo, I do believe. So let me go ahead and bring up Venkat's screen. All right, so go ahead and give us a tour.
So when you first launch the app, it goes into like these onboarding videos that you can view, and so they show a few of the features in the app. Right now, I think I'm using up too much of the bandwidth with being on the podcast, so the videos aren't loading. But yeah, so
that's okay. We don't need to see the videos. That's what we've got you for. So why don't we just hit that getting started button. Let's jump into it and show us what you can do.
So when you first start the app, there are 5 different presets that have been made as examples. Those are kind of like tutorials. That you can view and learn from. But I want to get right into making a photo filter. So the first step on the bottom right, which you probably can't see, is to select a different photo.
Okay.
And so I'm just going to go and look through my library and find a good photo that might, that might be a good choice. So this is a New York street. I think the shadows are too heavy.
Okay.
And so I'm going to go right ahead and add a shadow block. And then I'm going to lift the shadows up a little bit.
So you were just drag and dropping a block from that list at the bottom.
Yep. So I think it's like it's a tap, and then there's an animation that puts it in place.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yep. And so I lift up the shadows and then drag the slider a little bit. I can just save this, and so now I've saved this for any photo that I've taken in, with a lot of poor situation.
So okay, so you added the shadow filter and you set it to a certain amount and you hit save, and that is now just a preset with a single filter applied to it.
Yep.
Okay.
I should go over the list of filters that are currently available. So I think in the the first 10 are kind of corrective, up till from saturation to shadows. And then we have some color filters where you can change the white point up, or we have a duotone filter. And then there are some, and then from white point to minimum component, those are kind of like if you wanted to go for a more black or white, and then
what does that mean? Maximum component and minimum component.
So I think what this does is it takes the, so we can kind of go here. It takes the highest number. It takes, basically, it will take the it converts it to a black and white filter by taking the max of the red, green, or blue component.
Okay.
And then the minimum component takes the minimum of the red and makes that a black and white photo.
Okay. Can you show us the difference between the maximum and minimum just to help our viewers understand what we're looking at?
Yep. So this is what the photo would look like with the minimum component. And then if I can turn it on, and then this is with the maximum component. And this is also, so the bottom row is my filter list that's kind of built in into the system. And then this top row is your filter chain where what you're creating is added to that. It's your chain that you're creating. So I'm just going to get back to shadows. And then at the end, after unsharpened from mono to instant, these are filters that are already, these are not, you cannot like adjust them. These are kind of filters that they're available already. And you can either use them, so they don't have any sliders. Okay,
so a single setting adjustment.
Yep.
Is there a limit to how many of these you can stack on top of each other per filter per preset?
There's no limit.
Okay.
So you can. It does. I have noticed once you kind of get past 5, the photo really degrades, and so there's no there's nothing that I've set that's a limit.
Okay.
But there is how much you can edit a photo and still maintain its integrity, kind of.
Okay. All right, great. So let's see adding a couple more filters on there and saving that as a preset. And I want to see how that gets applied to a different image.
So let's add a monochrome filter, and then I'm gonna make this a red. Just for fun, just to see what it looks like. So I'm going to save this. And then you have to go back. And then this is the filter. I just create the filter at the bottom. This one.
Okay.
That's the one I just created. And then now once you tap that in there, this shows all your photos with that filter in your photo library.
Oh, isn't that cool?
Yep. These are all your photos that are that you can kind of now just scroll through and see what it would look like if this filter.
So you don't even have to apply the filter. Once you've saved it, you can browse your entire photos library and see what that filter would look like applied to every single picture at once.
Yep.
That's incredible.
And you can also, this is my little cousin and my dad, but you can also swipe through and can nicely go through every single photo. It's I think this is going through this in library mode is I really enjoy this. Is just you could spend hours doing this probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's also a post. So here, once you have your photo and you like something, you can then post that to Instagram or Twitter, or just save it to your photo library.
So in this case, you don't even have to apply the filter, or maybe there isn't even a way. Maybe this is it. You just, instead of having to choose the filter and choose the photo and then reapply it, you're basically done at this point. You pick a picture out of there and you're done.
Yep. If you want to pick one, this is you can save it, and there's no inside the app. There's no actual you're not really editing the photo inside the app.
Okay, so if I'm looking at this one, I said, I like this the way this is, but I want it to be a little bit less red. Can I edit the filter that's applied right now?
Not at the moment. That is a very requested feature.
Sure.
And I'm going to be working on it in the next release.
So for now, what you would have to do is, can you edit the filter? Once you've created the filter, can you go back and edit it at all?
Yep, you can go back to that filter.
Okay, so I could take that photo, open it into the filter editor, and then tweak it the way I wanted to tweak it.
Yep. So you can kind of go back, and this is where you can't see the bottom right, but you can find that photo, and now you can tweak it here. You can find a better red. All right. So this is
just make the change you want. Okay.
So, yep.
That's really cool. That's a great approach. I like that a lot. Do you have, since I'm looking at this image that has a slightly off-kilter horizon, do you have corrective things like crop and straighten?
That is also in the next release, crop and straighten.
What version are we at right now?
You're at 1.2.
Okay.
And now, so those in 1.3, I think I'm going to tackle being able to edit it, and being able to edit right before you post in that other screen.
Okay.
And then I think 1.4, I'll be tackling more just single photo edits that you would want to make that right before you post. So I think my main focus right now for most of the time has been just getting the creation of one filter correct and applying it properly to the photo that you have.
Right.
And then now I want to go back and I want to make sure the process of applying and saving each photo is great.
Okay. Very good. So let me ask you some tech questions on this. Well, first of all, so I know it's on iPhone and iPad because when set up, we saw it on the iPhone. What about iPad Pro? Is there a native iPad Pro version?
This would work much. You would have much. It would be basically you would have a lot more real estate to work with this photo on an iPad Pro.
Okay, so it's not just a scaled interface where it's an actual iPad Pro native interface. Awesome. And then what about the resolution of the images? This is something that comes up quite a lot with a lot of apps. They're scaled down to either 2048 or 4096, either on import or on export. Are you scaling at all, or are you taking in the full-size image? And if full size, what's the maximum that you can take?
I do not scale, so it actually depends on your device.
Sure.
And so it's not, I don't have any maximums in the app.
So it's just, depending on the memory of your device
you have.
I've seen that on a few things. That's great. Okay. Let's see. Is there any other filter that you want to show or a major feature that you want to show in here before we jump out of the demo?
Yeah. So you can also post single photos. So if while you're editing this photo, for example, you can show that photo. You can post it right from while clicking it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can also zoom in on every photo, and it's fully. You can zoom and work it.
Sure.
And one of the best parts, not the best parts, but also when you're in your chain, there is also you can. So we take this photo. There's also the order of the filters as that they're applied in.
Mm-hmm.
That also matters. So I can switch the order.
Okay.
And that changes the photo.
Great.
And
right. Of course.
So you would do that by just tapping and by holding your finger down and dragging it over.
Okay.
So yeah, that you can also temporarily, if you wanted to see, what would this photo look like without applying this particular block, you can double tap and that would disable that block.
Oh, okay. So you can disable individual blocks without having to remove it from the chain.
Yep.
Nice.
And yep. And then you can also, if you then decide you don't like a particular one, you can swipe up
to get rid of it
and get rid of it.
Nice. All right. Very good. That's an awesome app. Well, I can't wait to play with it myself. Very, very cool. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for that. That's impressive.
Thank you for having me.
It's a great looking app. Absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, it's exciting. And for $2, you really can't argue with that, can you? I mean, it sure is a different era than the several hundred or even several $1,000 app, isn't it?
Yeah. iPhone apps are, using, there's so many great apps that, for a small cost that everyone can now get into photo editing. And I think that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it a lot of fun. Right on. So the next part of the show, and now that I'm looking at our show notes, I realize that maybe you misunderstood what this was, but I'm going to put you on the spot here. So the next one is the guest app pick. And the whole point of this is for you, the guest, to tell the audience one of your favorite apps, but not your own. It can't be your own app. That's cheating. So outside of your own preset app, what would be your favorite, since we're on iOS, let's talk about iOS apps. What's your favorite iOS app to use?
Yeah, I would say Darkroom. Darkroom is great. It's got great, the UI is very approachable. And using the color tool, the levels tool, the curves tool, that's also like, I learned how to use a curves tool with that in that app. It was so much easier than learning it on Photoshop.
Nice.
And so I think, Darkroom would be my pick.
Very cool. Darkroom it is then. I think I'll have to reach out to them and see if I can get them on the show. Yeah. See, that's the real trick here. This is what I'm really doing is I'm trying to look for who my next guest should be. So whatever you recommend, I'll reach out to them. I know some
app people who are, I've been building this app for a little bit, so I can definitely.
Well, please do. Absolutely. If it's a photo app, we want to hear about it so we can talk about them on the TWIP app show. Thank you so much for that. All right, so that does bring us to the end of our show. Where can our listeners learn more about your app, and where can they find you on the social medias and the websites?
So you can learn more about Preset at presetapp.com. I am also trying to build a community of presetters with, so I have right now it's just a simple Tumblr page, but I want to expand on it. So that's madewithpreset.com, which is also where I will be featuring, if you send me your submissions to me, I'll be featuring your art, and then we are also on Twitter and Instagram at madewithpreset, I'm trying to build the community where people can send me art and it will get featured on the website, awesome. on the Instagram feed, on Twitter. And I think we have a Facebook page also. I don't remember the URL.
Well, probably Made with Preset. And I guess Made with Preset would be the hashtag to use as well if you're posting your photos.
If you post anything on Instagram with the hashtag, I'll find you and see if I can repost it on Made with Preset.
Sounds great. Right on. Well, thank you very much, Venkat. Really appreciate you coming on the show. So that brings us to the end of another episode of TWIP Apps. I'm your host, PhotoJoseph. You can find me on the socials at PhotoJoseph pretty much anywhere, as well as on my website, photoapps.expert. Special thanks to FreshBooks for hosting this show, and be sure to visit our website at thisweekinphoto.com and to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure to share and like the video as well. And with that, it's time to put your lens cap back on and go edit some photos. Bye-bye.